What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best WNBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, if you watched yesterday's YouTube video, we actually got 2 out of the 3 picks correct from that YouTube video, so that's great to see there. But I also did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. Now, we had a decent day. We got 19 picks correct, but I do want to push for better today and get more locks for you guys in that exclusive Discord group. But if you want to get 19 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be a link down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,350 just yesterday. Another member who won $364 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to PJ Florida Vibes 8643, who said thank you as always from Daytona Beach. Shouts out to him. Shouts out to also Tonio2Tech, who said wish you luck. Shouts out to Kendrick Weber 4572, who spammed up the love heart emoji. And then shouts out to Dean's Fine Table, who said, did my God say for more? You always say less. So yes, that is true, but shouts out to them. But if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to talk about is Azora Stevens, and this one is for 9.5 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Azora Stevens, we've actually seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games, and we have actually seen, her do a decent job in others, but we actually do see May 19th faced off against Minnesota, where she had actually 6 rebounds there, then faced off against Phoenix on May 22nd, where she had 17 rebounds, faced off against Golden State May 24th, had 10 rebounds, then Chicago Sky May 26th had 8 rebounds, and then 11 rebounds against Atlanta. So looking at someone like Azora Stevens, we do see that the Sparks do have themselves a very interesting matchup against the Aces. And looking at both of these teams, we do see that the Sparks do actually rank 10th and also are in the Western Conference. Now, the 10th ranking is actually based off all the teams in the WNBA, so that's based off all 13 teams, but they do have a record of 2-4. So they haven't had the greatest start to the season. They have a 33.3% win percentage, so definitely can improve there. And they do face off against none other than the actual Las Vegas Aces, like we mentioned. Now, looking at the Aces, we do see that the Aces do have a record of 2-2, so I have a 50% win percentage. They also came in at the 6th spot in the actual WNBA, so they are ranked a little bit higher. Now, obviously, this is strictly for rebounds when it comes to this line, and when we look at Las Vegas Aces, we do see that they do rank 10th when it comes to rebounds allowed. So you may be thinking why we do like the under for this situation, and a big reason being is that Las Vegas Aces actually do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds to the big man position, or the big woman position at this sense. And because of that, we do very much like the under for this situation here, as we should see Azora Stevens really struggle as Aces really focus on the forwards and centers and trying to restrict them as much as they can from rebounding. And it's because Aces do have some great rebounders in their team, so that's definitely a big effect there. But looking at someone like Stevens, what we also do see is that we also see that her average over the last 5 is 10.4, so yes, it is slightly above. But Azora Stevens' usage rate out there when it comes to rebounds has definitely been a little bit, I would say, unpredictable. Now, she does have some of the games where she has gone on the over. Yes, that is true. But some of those games where she has gone on the over, it's definitely very much not really convincing enough to us. She only makes it over by 1.5, 0.5 at times. And that's why we don't really see the usage rate being enough there, especially in a game like this against the Aces. Now, Aces do run a little bit more of a slower type pace with the sparks. We are expecting a little bit more slower than usual. Now, nothing really too crazy, but just a little bit on the slower side, and we definitely see that having a huge effect on why we do very much like the under for this situation here. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for Azora Stevens. Keep an eye out for her line. So Azora Stevens, 9.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Jackie Young. Actually, looking at Jackie Young, we have seen her do a great job this season, and this one is actually 4 points for 16.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Jackie Young, we've actually seen her go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now this one's an interesting one. We do see on October 7th, so this was actually a season before, we actually saw, in that matchup, she had 4 points there, so you kind of have to disregard that as this is a new season. But May 18th, first game, New York Liberty again, 16 points in that matchup, then faced off against Connecticut, had 16 points on May 21st, then on May 24th against Washington Mystics had 25 points, and then 14 points against Seattle on May 26th. So like I mentioned, we have seen her go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games, but technically we have seen her go on the under in 3 out of the 4 games because, one of those games was from last season, but we have seen her go on the over quite consistently, and her average over the last 5 is actually 15, so slightly below this line. Now it's definitely a telltale sign to us there. Now she did have an outlier game against Washington where she did go off for 25 points, but we find that more to be more of an outlier matchup, and we should see her actually go on the under in this situation here. Now, obviously, the Aces do face off against the Sparks, as we all know. So this is going to be a good matchup. So just to reiterate again, the Aces do come in at the 6th spot in the WNBA, and they have a record of 2-2, so 50% there. So this win is definitely huge for them. And then also the Sparks also in somewhat of a similar but different position, where they are also 2 wins, but they do have 4 losses. So they do find themselves at the 10th spot, but it's still very early on in the season. So, these early wins can definitely be a huge thing for their actual ranking. But looking at the LA Sparks and where they do rank, we do see that the LA Sparks do rank when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 10th. Now, the reason why we do like the under, however, for this situation here is for 2 reasons. And a big reason is that Jackie Young's usage rate has not really been that high when it comes to scoring. It is still very early on in the season, so the bookies and the lines are coming out, based off averages in the past. But we haven't really seen Jackie Young perform and really have the same usage rate that she did have last season, and that's why we have seen her go on the under quite a lot. Now, we do see her going on the under once again in this matchup due to the fact that when we look at the Sparks as well, we do actually see that they do a fantastic job at restricting points to the actual guard position. So we definitely see someone like Jackie Young going on the under here. Now, looking at Jackie, we have seen her do a decent job in some of those games, but has still come up short. And when you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have them favored for the under as well. And like I mentioned before, when we look at the Aces and Sparks game, we are expecting a little bit of a slightly slower paced game. Nothing really too major, but definitely just a little bit on the slower side, which definitely could be enough for us on why we do like the under for this one. So for that reason, keep an eye out for Jackie Young. I see a lot of value there to go on the under. So Jackie Young, 16.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Junquel Jones. So Junquel Jones, great player, and this one is a fantastic one for actually 9.5 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Junquel Jones, we've actually seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. So we have seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5. Now obviously they do have themselves a pretty interesting matchup, but before we get into the matchup, let's actually look at her last 5. October 21st, which was last season, she faced off against Minnesota, had 6 rebounds there. Then faced off against the Aces on May 18th, had 10 rebounds there. Then May 23rd, faced off against Chicago, where she had 7 rebounds there. On May 25th, faced off against Indiana, where she had 12 rebounds. And then on May 28th, faced off against Golden State and had 10 rebounds in that matchup. So she has had, pretty much a decent time when it comes to rebounding as of lately, but we do like the under for this situation here. Now, a big reason why we do like the under is that we are going to be looking at their matchup. Now, New York Liberty do face off against the Washington Mystics. Now, looking at both of these teams, we do see New York Liberty have done an absolute fantastic job so far this season. They find themselves in a very good position as they currently have a record of 5-0 losses. So 100% win rate, 5-game win streak, and they are pushing strong and hoping to get this win as well. Now they face off against the Washington Mystics, and what we have seen is that Washington Mystics do come in at the 7th spot in the WNBA, and they have a 3-win, 3-loss record. So not really anything too bad, still somewhat average, but nothing really too crazy. That's a big reason, for this matchup being a really, really interesting one, because when we look at Washington Mystics, we actually do see that when it comes to rebounds allowed, they do actually rank 2nd. So they rank very, very well when it comes to restricting rebounds to in general teams, but also do a great job at restricting rebounds to the center position. And that's where we definitely see someone like Junquel Jones really struggling here. Washington are a great team, do not get me wrong, but a big thing about that is that when we look on a per sort of stat basis from the rebounding, they still do a very, very good job. And for that reason, we still do very much like the under. And also the fact that she is center and Washington do a great job to the center position is definitely another telltale sign to us there. Now, looking at the average over the last 5, or average over the last 5 is still, 9. So it is actually under this line as well. And when you look at what the bookies are saying, the bookies also have them favored for the under as well. So, for that reason, we do very much like the under, and we definitely see that happening here. So Junquel Jones, 9.5 rebounds, 4 less, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Wnba Prizepicks. As you all know, Wnba Prizepicks is a very, very good player, and she does play for the Indiana Fever. Now it is still very early on in the season, but right now she is actually averaging, which is pretty decent. She actually does average 6.2 points, 5 rebounds, 1.4 assists, while also getting 1.2 steals. So she has done a fantastic job there. And when we look at actually, the team Indiana Fever, they do face off against none other than Connecticut Sun. Now, as you all know, Connecticut Sun, a decent team. However, they are on a 0-5, start to the season. So it hasn't really looked the best for them, especially due to the fact that they did have a greater season last season. Now, they do find themselves in the 13th spot out of the whole WNBA. Now, on top of that, when you look at Indiana Fever, however, Fever have done pretty decent. They do still find themselves at the 9th spot, so a little bit in the lower half, but they do have a 2-3 record, and they are hoping, to make and win this game to put them in a 3-3 position. So, we actually have seen Indiana Fever have a 40% win percentage, which isn't too bad, but, as always, there always can definitely be an improvement. But looking at Connecticut Sun, we do actually see Connecticut Sun do actually rank 11th when it comes to points allowed. They also rank 8th when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed, we also see them rank 11th. So, we have actually seen Wnba Prizepicks do a pretty decent job throughout the regular season so far. However, although Connecticut Sun do rank very low in all 3 categories, we do very much like the over for this situation here, but I would strictly focus a little bit more on rebounds. Now, when we look at Indiana Fever definitely have a lot of great players, obviously the main being Caitlin Clark, but when it comes to Wnba Prizepicks' actual usage out there, when it comes to the offensive side of things, it tends to be pretty up in the air. Some games she has a lot of scoring, other games she's just doing more of the rebounding and so on. So for that reason, we do very much like, the over for someone like Wnba Prizepicks, but I do believe that rebounds is definitely where it's going to be at. Now, Bonner is a great player. We all know how fantastic, she has done throughout her career, but looking at this matchup, we definitely do like the over, but like I mentioned, I think rebounds is definitely where you want to focus on. Bonner usually has more of a higher usage rate and is a bit more active on the rebounds compared to, points and assists. So that's why I definitely would focus on that. And the fact that Connecticut Sun also do rank very low in that category definitely works out in our favor there. Now, looking at the most recent games, they've definitely had, some pretty decent games so far. We saw them face off against Chicago on a 93-58 win, where she actually had 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists in that matchup. Then faced off against Atlanta Dream with a 91-90 loss. So, only just lost, but she had 0 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist there. Then next matchup after that, we saw her face off against Dream again, where they actually beat them 81-76. She had 1 point, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist in that matchup. Then faced off against New York on a 90-88 loss. She had 2 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists there. And then faced off against Washington Mystics. She had an 83-77 result, and she had 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So we have seen her go in the over in 2 out of the last 5 games when it comes to rebounds. But now looking at this matchup, a big reason why we do like the over is due to the fact that, they do face off Connecticut Sun. Connecticut Sun have just been playing poorly. They do a really poor job at restricting rebounds, and we definitely see Bonner being able to take advantage of that. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the over for DeWanna Bonner. But definitely keep an eye out for that rebounding line. I definitely see a lot more value there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Kennedy Burke. So Kennedy Burke from New York Liberty, great player, as we all know. Now, so far this season, she's done a fantastic job. We've actually seen her average 10.4 points, 3.2 rebounds, 1.4 assists, while also grabbing 1 steal. So we have seen, Kennedy Burke do a great job, but even better than that, we've also seen New York Liberty do a fantastic job this season. So when it comes to New York Liberty, they do have themselves a very good matchup. Now, New York Liberty do actually face off against the Washington Mystics in this next game. So this is definitely going to be an exciting one. Now, New York Liberty, they are actually undefeated. One of the only few teams to be undefeated. Minnesota Lynx are also undefeated, but they have a 5-0 record right now, 5-game win streak, number 1 in the whole of WNBA, but also have number 1 spot in the Eastern Conference. And they do face off against the Mystics, like we mentioned. Now, Mystics are a little bit worse, but like I mentioned, it is still very early on in the season. Some teams have only played 5 to 6 games, but Mystics find themselves in the 7th spot in the actual WNBA ranking. And on top of that, they also have a 3-win, 3-loss record. So straight down the middle, 50-50. Now, looking at Kennedy Burke and New York Liberty, they face off against the Mystics, like we mentioned. And the Mystics do actually rank when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 5th. When it comes to assists allowed, we see that they rank 1st. And then also rebounds allowed, they do rank 2nd. So we've actually seen Washington Mystics do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists. And for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for Kennedy Burke, because I see a lot of value there for her to be going on the under in this one. Now, a big reason being for that is that, Washington Mystics, although, they haven't won a lot of games, they do a great job at slowing down faster paced teams. New York Liberty, they have been winning, but not only that, but they do play with a really fierce sort of pace that really can't be matched. And that's what really has put them over the edge as of recent. And I think, coming into this matchup, Washington Mystics, they do a great job defensively at points, rebounds, and assists. And that's why we do see someone like Kennedy Burke going on the under in this situation here, due to the fact that we should see her go on the under, due to the fact that, Mystics just do rank well, and they also do a fantastic job at slowing down faster paced teams. So we definitely see someone like Kennedy Burke going on the under here. Now, looking at this matchup, Kennedy Burke and New York Liberty, and how she has done so far this season, obviously she's been, winning an unstoppable amount. They faced off against Las Vegas Aces. They won 92-78. Now, in that game, she had 10 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Then faced off against Chicago, where they won 99-74. She had 17 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists there. Indiana, next matchup, where she played 28 minutes. She had 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists with a 90-88 victory. And then also on top of that, faced off against the Golden State Valkyries, where she had a 95-67 win with 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 0 assists. And then 82-77 win where she had 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists there. So she's definitely done a great job, over the last couple of games, definitely on the better side of things. But coming into this next one, we do very, very much like this situation for the under for someone like Kennedy Burke. And a big reason being for that is due to the fact that when it comes to Washington Mystics, we just have seen them do a fantastic job all season at really slowing down the pace and, slowing it down as much as they can. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here for Kennedy Burke. So keep an eye out for her line. I think she has the capability to go on the under in points, rebounds, and assists. I think all definitely have the capability to go on the under for her. So keep an eye out for there. Now getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Erica Wheeler. So Erica Wheeler, great player, as we all know. Now she has done a fantastic job all season. Now we have seen her do a decent job, not only, over the last couple of games, but also the most recent games. She's definitely starting to come into, her play style very well. But when we look at Erica Wheeler, she has actually averaged 9.2 points this season, 2.4 rebounds, and also actually has averaged 3 assists and 0.4 steals. So, she actually has done a decent job so far this season. She's definitely played a really, really good supporting role for this team. Now, when we look at someone like Erica Wheeler and the Seattle Storm, we actually do see Seattle Storm face off against none other than Atlanta Dream in this matchup. It is definitely going to be an exciting matchup between both of these teams. Now, looking at Seattle Storm, we actually see them ranked 5th in, the WNBA, and they have a 3-2 record, so 60% win percentage, which is really good to see. Now, on top of that, we also have seen that, they face off against Atlanta Dream. Now, Atlanta Dream do actually have the 4th spot in the actual WNBA. So very, very close in ranking. So that's why I do believe there's going to be an exciting game. Both of these teams are definitely in a very good position. And, they are trying to get this win to put them up, another win to their calendar. So looking at Erica Wheeler, we are expecting a decent game from her. But looking at first Atlanta Dream, we do see Atlanta Dream do rank 6th when it comes to points allowed. When it comes to assists allowed, they do rank 4th. And then rebounds allowed, they do rank 3rd. So they actually do a fantastic job at restricting, rebounds and assists, and a little bit lower in points. Now, when it comes to someone like Erica Wheeler, we do very much like the under for this situation here, but strictly just for rebounds and assists. We definitely see a lot of value there, especially due to the fact that when we look at Erica Wheeler, she does have a little bit more of a lower usage rate in that actual department, and we definitely see that being a huge effect there. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for that situation there. I think rebounds and assists, with Erica Wheeler not really having the highest usage rate, it's definitely going to have a huge effect. And the fact that Atlanta Dream do a great job at actually slowing that down, I definitely see that being a huge thing there. Now, looking at actually her games against, some teams over the last 5 games, we definitely have seen her put up some pretty big performances at times and others not really. We saw they face off against Phoenix, an 81-59 victory. She had 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists in that matchup, which was fantastic. Then faced off against Dallas with a 79-71 win. Now in that matchup, she actually had 3 points, 1 rebound, and 0 assists there. After that, faced off against Phoenix, where she had 77-70 win with 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. And then faced off against the Las Vegas Aces, had 102-82 win, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists there. And then it faced off against Minnesota. She had 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. So it's definitely been, an interesting time for Erica Wheeler. Some games she's done very, very well. Other games she really can't really get it going. So that's a big reason why we still do like the under for this situation here. We definitely see her going on the under due to the fact that, Erica Wheeler's usage rate isn't really too high in that. We are expecting other players in Seattle Storm Storm to take a little bit more of the usage rate away from her, which could definitely lead to the under for this one. So for that reason, keep an eye out for her line. I see a lot of value there to go on the under, especially if the line is too close to her averages. So definitely keep an eye out there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about actually Jessica Shepard. So Jessica Shepard, great player, as we all know. She has done a fantastic job this season, averaging 9.2 points, 7.4 rebounds, 2.8 assists, while also getting 0.2 steals. So she's definitely done a fantastic job and played a great supporting, cost or role in this team for the Minnesota Lynx. Now, Minnesota Lynx do have themselves a very, very good matchup because they face off against Phoenix Mercury. So, this is definitely going to be a battle between the top two teams in the Western Conference. We do actually see that when we look at both of these teams' ranking, Minnesota Lynx do have a 5-0 record, so they are currently undefeated. On top of that, when you look further, you also do see they currently rank second in the actual WNBA, but they still also have an undefeated record. And then Mercury have a 4-1 record and actually find themselves ranked third. So, not too far off, but definitely still a top dog opponent, which is the Minnesota Lynx being undefeated as well. Now, looking at Jessica Shepard and the matchup against Phoenix, we do know, looking at Phoenix Mercury, we see that they rank first in points allowed. They also rank when it comes to actually assists allowed. We see Mercury rank 7th, and then rebounds allowed, we do see Mercury rank a little bit lower as they rank 9th. So they don't really rank too well, and that's a big reason why we do like the under for this situation here, but strictly just for points. Now, a big reason being is that Jessica Shepard's actual usage rate in the points department is very, very unpredictable. Yes, she does get a lot of opportunities to score, but there are bigger scorers in this team, and we definitely see her scoring just kind of when it's necessary. So for that reason, we do very, very much like, the actual under for this situation, but strictly just for the points. The fact that, Minnesota Lynx face off against Phoenix and Phoenix just do a great job defensively, we could definitely see, Jessica Shepard struggle there. Now, looking also on top of that, you also do see that Jessica Shepard's usage rate is not only a little bit lower, but she is a forward, and we have seen time and time again that Phoenix Mercury have done a great job at restricting points to the forward position. So for that reason, we do very much like, the under for this situation here for someone like Jessica Shepard. We definitely see her going on the under due to those reasons, and also the fact that when you look at Jessica's, kind of scoring over the last couple of games, it's definitely been a little bit, sort of everywhere in a sense that it's really, really unpredictable. Now, looking at it further, you do see, looking at the last 5 games faced off against Dallas. Now, she actually had 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists in that matchup with a 99-84 actual win. Then LA, they faced off against LA with a 89-75 victory, had 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists there, which I thought was great to see. Moving on from that, faced off against Dallas again with an 85-81 win this time. And in that matchup, we actually saw, 3 points that she actually scored, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists there. After that, moving on from that, we also saw against Connecticut, 76-70 win, 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Then after that, Seattle Storm actually won that one, 82-77, had 4 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So we definitely have seen Jessica Shepard, at times go on the under when it comes to points and other times go on the over. But like I always said, it's always per position and more of a per matchup basis. But coming into this next one, we definitely do like the under for someone like Jessica Shepard coming into this game. But strictly, guys, definitely focus a little bit more on points. But as always mentioned, keep an eye out for the line. If the line is too close to her averages, then definitely look to go on the under.